Welcome to Criticality Redux, the critical IT OT podcast where we dissect and discuss the most pressing issues in cutting edge technology. From the sprawling challenges facing the modern enterprise to the intricate cybersecurity demands of our nation's critical infrastructure, we cover it all, or at least we try to. Hello and welcome. Ashley, we're good to go? Awesome. I'd like to thank the moderator, Ashley. I am Joseph Jobert, and today, instead of two guests like we normally would, we've got several. We've brought the Cubic Quorum on, everybody who had time today. It is a special Halloween episode, and we will be going over the tricks and treats of artificial intelligence as it pertains to technology outside of AI itself and critical infrastructure. One of the pressing topics we're going to talk about is OpenAI's new tool that they announced this week called Aardvark. We're going to go into that after the Wheel of Criticality, and we're going to skip over all the other cool and interesting things that happened this week and just go right into the wheel. Liza Hayward, and we've got who else is on? Can everybody introduce yourselves? Because I can't see everybody. I know there's more people.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Go by Liza the Bookworm.
And I'm Hayward Durso. Second time with you guys, so I look forward to the show.
Ash, is there
This
other
is
people?
this is Riyadh from Algeria.
Yes, Riyadh. So if you're ready to start the wheel, Ash, let's get it going. All right, so this gauntlet episode is going to be a little different as well, where we're not going to follow the rules that we normally would. We're actually just going to talk together, and everybody's going to take turns as we discuss AI specifically towards each one of the sectors. Let's get started. Our first topic is water and wastewater. This is great. AI can actually do pretty interesting things as far as data aggregation in small towns. Is this something we need to worry about in any of the other directions AI takes? Because I know small towns are going to start using AI agents and things like that to work on their water and wastewater projects.
Well, I've done some quick research here. It looks like it's possible that AI would be very helpful just because it can monitor the filters and things without having to have a human person actually there looking at things, and you could have a camera.
And that's
awesome. Could access that feed constantly. So
that's what I was getting to in the first place, the data aggregation. And the bad side of that is when they start getting rid of humans to work with that. Because like a lot of these, there's going to be deviations and nobody's going to be there to catch it.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer the human oversight, although the aggregation would be super helpful from the AI side.
Because I know that there's fluoride and other chemicals and stuff that they add into, what would the issues be with biasing and things like that, where AI becomes in charge of monitoring and adding different chemicals to the water? Would that be something we would be concerned, where there's no longer a human that does that?
I actually think that would be something that you'd want to be concerned with. Let's say that like water levels are changing or whatnot, and the human element couldn't necessarily get to the task quick enough. There could also be some type of filtered system that would allow AI to register and identify if the water levels are outside of the thresholds that are available, and could automatically respond to it immediately and notify the proper channels of what's been taking place. So it allows them more along the lines to manage like the processes versus um, the actual water levels itself, and be able to respond to it in a much quicker fashion.
So I know in Louisiana we have we have very large pump systems that when there's heavy rains that come in, these pump systems are automatically kicked on. I don't know if this falls under that category of that domain. I think it does. I think the cities that control those aspects, that falls under them too. I would imagine that AI would also control those at one point. Oh, we can keep that. I'd like to, as we're actually starting to understand where those things cross, I'd like to keep that going later. Oh gosh, yeah, that's a fun one. Anybody else want to jump on this before I rip it apart?
I guess I would say something about dams. I guess the key issue here is really
Oh,
like complacency
run.
driven
It's
by like
industrial base.
perceived isolation, where operators believe like air gapping is effective, but will still allow remote telemetry and contractor access, making isolated systems reachable through unsecured VPNs and third-party accounts.
Yeah, and that's valid. That's actually valid for several. Are you talking about dams?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was one off. My
yeah.
apologies.
Oh no, it was on the line, but we're talking military AI in the military. So one thing I'd like to bring up that may be a small thing is counseling sessions and things like that for non-commissioned officers and officers and things like that. These are things they do monthly, quarterly, um, and I think AI could very well have a huge part to play where inexperienced or even people that think they're more experienced than they are actually utilize AI to write these counseling statements that are counseling soldiers and airmen and Marines and everybody that may not act like they may not be actually looking at it anymore. They just print, and do the counseling session, and it's not going to be as effective as it used to be. These tools may be seen as time saving. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, but
yeah, that would be a less effective use of AI. I would agree.
And I know when we think, oh dang, I do want to come back to the military aspect of it though, because there's good and bad, definitely on that. Critical manufacturing. Anybody else want to take it? Okay, I can start it off at least. So the good part about this is that once we have these agents in place, we'll be able to start properly managing the waste from the critical manufacturing sector and start precisely creating exactly what we need and not too much excess. And we'll be able to start refining and auditing the materials needed so that we can start doing a lot better logistically. So I actually see AI being very helpful in this sector, but again, then we start getting into the security aspect, and I can see that being very bad.
Yeah.
So we when we talk about creating bridges, we talk about steel and concrete and things like that. We have to get those supplies from somewhere. if we're getting them from facilities where there's mostly AI in charge of mixing the concrete and producing everything, and there's deviation that's happening to where the concrete's too airy, or it's got nuclear reactors, materials, and waste sector. So I mostly usually look at nuclear reactor sector and I draw a big blank because I don't know enough about nuclear to dive into it, but there's more here. There's nuclear waste and nuclear materials, and there's the waste sector that falls under it as well. That's not just nuclear waste. Um, I don't know if y'all are familiar, but landfills are producing gas. They have they go deep inside and they introduce bacterias and stuff, and those bacterias can create natural gases, biogases, and they can actually start exporting that to generate some funds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I actually believe that a great use of AI will be to start assessing everything that comes in and better sorting out and placing everything so that they can create more efficient gas productions as one use of it. I know in America we don't recycle as much as we should, and even our recycling plants aren't real recycling plants. We have a terrible recycling we just don't. I've been to other countries where they actually do recycle, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We are that's over. Somebody else take this next one.
The information technology sector and how we can utilize that within like AI. We could. I'm thinking more of the line similar to something like the solar winds incident. There could be some type of real time vulnerability scanning and remediation where it can also help to produce like self healing in those senses. It looks like we switched topics to healthcare. um, and now if we're looking at like healthcare,
After we go on a topic, it gets removed.
Okay, I see what
you're good.
Yeah, it kind of just happened a little quickly for me.
Yeah.
I looked away and I looked back and it was changed. So whenever I'm looking at that, I'm thinking more along the lines of like remediate, like automated vulnerability scanning, recommendations that would be made, and giving the organization the option to remediate by the human factor or possibly remediating and self healing on its own in real time, based on statistics and our strategies that we implement. That's how I kind of see what like from the information technology side would look like.
The concept of self healing sounds fantastic. I actually can see it. I can envision it right now with several use cases in a MSP where
So
they can send that
there's
out.
like a really cool company that's out there. I've actually worked with them, Pintera, which is like a vulnerability scanning and remediation tool. And once it's in your environment, it kind of goes out and identifies all the different vulnerabilities that typically would not necessarily be captured um, by the human element whenever we're looking at what's really just in scope.
Makes sense. Communications sector. This one gets overlooked a lot because we we think radios and stuff. We think old school. Communication sector is getting hit up big time in the last couple of years, thanks to Elon Musk and Starlink and all the other crazy stuff. But if for those who aren't very familiar with satellite networking, we've got three very large spaces outside of Earth. We've got low orbit, mid, and high orbit spaces where we have satellites, and AI is going to make a huge impact for the better, because each one of those satellites out there has a certain amount of compressed air and fuel and things that they use to keep themselves in where they need to be, especially in high orbit, because high orbit satellites float around our equator. Oh, that was fast.
It was.
Okay, now we can get to the dam sector.
Okay, hey, we're back at the dams. Go ahead.
um, I really think like the dam issue is really around complacency driven by perceived isolation, where like operators believe that air gapping is effective, but still allows remote telemetry and contractor access, making isolated systems reachable through unsecured VPNs and third-party accounts. So maybe we could look at. I don't know if this is even a thing, but maybe if AI was actually managing third-party vendor management from an automated standpoint, sending out the um, what do you want to call those things? The vendor evaluations and collecting the responses and providing management with a more comprehensive viewpoint and to help them make better educated decisions as it relates to how we're going to manage these different vendors and from a dam standpoint maybe just being able to identify much quicker the different types of attacks that may be happening with dams.
And that's important because on the downside of that, I can see where the folks that actually manage dams. And okay, we're on to. Oh, this is a tricky one, and I say that because this is a vast sector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starting it off. Anybody else want to take it? Because I can dive in if nobody else wants it.
I'll
Go
just
ahead and take it.
AI in the financial sector would have a really great application just as far as aggregating lots of information and keeping track of things as far as investment type information.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to be really careful with it around personal information, banking, personal banking information,
Mm-hmm.
and corporate banking information, simply because I feel like they're still regulating and programmers aren't super prepared for securing the AI options inside the various chatbot options that people are trying out so fast.
And that's actually very valid. It's one of the big things that's happened last year is that people are pulling exfiltrating data from the agents and stuff, and
Right.
people don't even realize that they're putting that information in there or where it's coming from. Oh, yeah. This is helpful. There's so many ways AI can help in the EMTs, police, fire, across all services. But what I think will be our biggest downfall here is when you call 911 or anything and you get. Have y'all been to Taco Bell or anything lately, and it's not even a person that's at the drive-through?
No.
Actually, we don't go to fast foods very often, so we were taken aback when we did, and it wasn't a person. They kept they just terrorized us,
Oh no.
and we're just like, can you please just get a person on this freaking thing? Anyways, I don't want to call 911 and have an AI person trying to understand me in my time of need.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big downfall as we go into that.
No, I think emergency medical, as far as, you can take a snapshot or something and send it and, have it in real time. Hey, this is what's going on. Here's things to do about it, as opposed to let me take your information with your accent and your panic and your everything else that I don't understand how to interpret.
Yeah, so that there's, and we can talk about each one of these sectors. And I know some of them are going to be kind of rough to start off with. We can dig into these and really get in, but we only have a minute, and there's a reason for the minute. We got to go quick. Commercial sector. Commercial facility sector, sorry. So the last couple of times we got onto this one, we kind of stuck to stadiums. It's pretty easy to look at a stadium as one of the bigger commercial facilities, And it is. We don't use malls anymore. I mean, we have them, but we don't really use them that much. We kind of America, the U.S. kind of shifted focus from malls to more of the outlet type situation and other venues. But stadiums in itself, we can still stick to it. AI in the stadiums are going to be great for like the kissing cam situations and things like that. They'll actually be able to scan the crowds instead of the humans doing it, and they'll be able to programmatically look for the right types of things instead of the CEOs of certain companies and their HR people. They'll be able to avoid those types of situations.
Yeah, and give you better statistics faster.
Yes, definitely. Is it? Are we at healthcare? No. So close again. Government services and facility sector.
It's military adjacent, but it's still the government factor. I think there's so much information that using AI to help aggregate will help people make good decisions if they have information that's aggregated properly. You want to make sure it's not.
I'm already seeing Copilot being used in other sources.
Mhm.
So it's good. I mean, it's good. It's being used properly. People are being able to interact with large volumes of data, large documents and things that would normally take them forever to search through and to put things together. Now they can just, look for what they need to put together new material. What I think is going to be bad is when people inside threats start using it. And now they're able to quickly put together, dang it, we're already out of it. My favorite topic, food and agriculture section. Does anybody else want this? I'm giving anybody else the chance to take this one.
Food and agriculture sector. I would say AI models could analyze data from sensors, logistics systems, and supplier networks to identify unusual patterns, possibly indicative of cyber attacks, contamination risks, and fraud. Because enabling early warnings and intervention would probably be the best idea.
Yeah, we one thing we have in ag is a large subsidy program, and I think with proper analytics and things, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear to get rid of subsidy programs because a lot of people rely on that, but if we have a program that specifically says you do this then and you do this, oh, we're already moving. We could save taxpayer dollars and better organize it. Hey, Wes, Riyadh, you guys are still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I didn't want to lose you guys. I think we're in the chemical sector, right? This is a big sector for Louisiana. I know oil and gas is big for us, but we have lots of chemical manufacturing down here in Louisiana too. I don't want AI touching this stuff. I know it will, but where we sit now, there's already enough security risks. So I only see the tricks. I only see malicious actors using AI to really dive in and find the cracks and get in the OT side of all of our chemical plants and start mixing chemicals wrong that get into our grocery stores, our washers and dryers, and just the something that seems like a harmless thing, something fun or funny, could actually cause people skin irritants and things like that. Where AI is empowering not just state actors and things like that, but childish pranks, and it's going to be able to. Okay, this is all you, Hayward.
Yeah, healthcare and public health sectors. Healthcare can be a little tricky, especially with the level of PII and PHI data that's actually out there. But I started thinking about how could it be utilized in the event like we're using like these remote type situations where people could actually have these wearables that connect to, let's say, my chart and provide real time data to the doctors that would actually be sitting in front of, via the virtual meeting that they would be in, and provide the doctor the information that it would be needed to help render a diagnosis of some sort, or just monitor their statistics based on their vitals.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely factors and facets that we could look into improving. There's a lot of negative onto that too. Every time I have a client, and we've worked in. I know you're fairly new to the cubic quorum, but we've been working on issues like this for years,
Hmm.
and that's why we focus on sandboxing and complete isolation for our AI solutions. And healthcare is one of those where we take all of our healthcare clients and we make sure that we provide solutions that are okay. Next sector. The grid.
Mhm.
The grid. I mean, could you imagine the guys that are sitting, the ladies and gentlemen that are sitting, monitoring and managing these plants as we start to bring solar farms and stuff online everywhere, and they're getting emails that look so convincing. Hey, I've got a new solar farm that needs to get put online. Hey, this is a new permit that needs to get done. Hey, this is, and they look so convincing.
Mhm.
And it's just some nerd with AI phishing scams that just they know exactly what to do. They can pull every permit for every town and put it all together. We're at the last one. That went by so fast. Ash has been saying that we need to increase the time, and I think she's right. Transportation sector. This is an easy one. We've got self-driving cars. We've got airplanes that are coming out soon for commercial people, for everybody.
Mhm.
Anybody want this?
Well, I have an idea.
Okay.
Maybe Tesla cars can drive itself in a highway without making any accidents, like analyzing the driver's status like
And
that.
that's a valuable thing. So the cars are doing fairly well when the roads are good. I keep saying it's not going to work in Louisiana. The self-driving cars are going to be scary here.
Mhm.
Especially for drunk people.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's valuable. We don't have much looking inward. There's a lot of technology on the cars looking out, but AI would be a huge benefit to monitor inward. Because
Mhm.
how many of these accidents have we seen with self-driving vehicles where the person is sleeping, or you can go on YouTube. There's people eating while the car is driving and stuff, and that it's one thing to have the car self pilot, but the driver should still be fairly aware of what's going on. And Riyadh, you're right, man. I think that'd be a great use of AI.
Some cars can sensor that the driver is out of the drive wheel, so it stops like immediately to wake up the driver,
Mhm.
or make sounds to wake him up,
Yeah,
and then
I know ours does.
pull up over.
Mhm.
But that's not so much AI yet. That's still just a couple algorithms, and some programming. But I think AI would be able to do a much better job. I just don't think the computers on board are strong enough. And you would have to have, for that to happen, we would need to have always connected cars, always connected vehicles. Um, but I think Raspberry's got, the Raspberry Foundation has a single board computer that's capable of a small language model that should be able to do something like this.
Mhm.
So maybe somebody's developing it already, or maybe it's already out and I just don't know about it yet. But yeah, that's a fantastic use of it. Heck yeah.
I've just
Um,
heard of the way they've been hacked and putting up QR codes or various things to lead the car astray. So that's always going to be a thing to be careful about in the programming side.
That is, and so we have that in Louisiana. I don't know. I don't know how roads are. It's been a while since I've driven outside of the Gulf Coast states, but we actually have roads where even our highways, they some of the exit ramps have painted lines that go off. So we have an Ionic 5. It's an electric, and sometimes we'll have it self-drive, self-pilot, and it'll start going off on an exit ramp. It's like, what the hell are you doing? And I'll look at the road, and it's like, oh yeah. So the paint is missing on the exit,
right?
So it's trying to follow the
Yeah,
stupid
it sticks
line.
with the white line on the edge.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're gonna get killed. We're gonna flip a car just trying to. Anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's transportation. This sector covers so much more than cars. We could have got into the trucking industry, the supply chain and everything with the autonomous trucking. We're going into drones and Amazon and Zipline and other companies are doing drone shipping. Then there's maritime and aviation and all. Like, this is a huge sector to dissect, and AI is going to play a huge part in it with jobs that are going to start coming up. If people aren't starting to change their career paths already, then it's something they need to start focusing on, because jobs are going to start disappearing that were there, and new jobs, new titles, new requirements are going to start popping up. So, and at the same time, just because Los Angeles has all these new fancy jobs doesn't mean that, Lubbock, Texas won't still have the same jobs that they've had, forever. So no offense, Lubbock. Hopefully you guys are, just as on the edge of tech as everybody else. But not everybody, not every city, and not every country in the world is on the same page. So just because some cities and places are on the cutting edge doesn't mean they all are. But some are, and they're going fast. This isn't something that we're just sitting down and talking about. As this is happening, as we're talking about it, 20 new companies popped up with, all their new products and more. I mean, this is it's happening so blazing fast. It's not even funny. It's scary, which is why the Halloween show. It's as much as I and so much of the other Cubicorum used to love working with AI. Like, we would spend weekends working on projects, tearing AI programs apart, seeing how to break them. And I know, Wes, you've been here a long time. I think Wes is one of the longer members. You've been in some of the workshops breaking these things with us, if I remember right. But yeah, we used to love doing that kind of stuff. And then ChatGPT came out and all this other stuff, and it was so much fun back then to test the limits. And now it's like, okay, we could still see the limits, but I don't think other people see the limits. It's getting harder and harder to see those lines. And it's not just months where a new thing is coming out. It's days, it's hours, and it's scary. It's not fun anymore. So that's all for the wheel of criticality. Now we get to move on to the discussing any of the topics that we wanted to keep going over. Ash, if you want to hit the post-mortem section part of the segment. Yeah, segment. So what I'd like to, one of the categories I really wanted to talk more about was the defense sector. I really wanted to talk about the tricks and treats of AI with the defense sector, but transportation's a good one. There's so many. There's 16 different sectors, and even with water, we could have gone on and talked. We started getting going, and then the beautiful thing about this is that you have to keep going. You have to keep changing. and it keeps you on your toes, and you don't have time to sit there and think about your best answer. You have to just think about what you can, and that's why it's timed. I'd like to have longer, but I've found that when I do 2 minutes segment, 2 minutes per, then I have too much time to sit and think about the best answers. And sometimes the most interesting answers don't come out. And the whole point of this is to bring things back to other people and create dialogue. So those rapid fire thoughts that we have that we usually just type out and delete, that's what the whole point of this wheel is for. It's to come out with those just say it and regret it later kind of things. So it's just with this one, I really wish we could have got more into the defense sector. What is there any sector that y'all wish y'all had more time on?
No, I think I'm good on that one.
Mm-hmm. I'm good.
Y'all good on all of them?
What are your thoughts around the defense sector?
Oh, for me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. The I personally would like to see to a point where each soldier has a, I don't want to say a smartwatch, but a smarter watch or a smarter wearable that could act as a, not a Hey Siri or whatever, but an NCO in their pocket. I don't know how else to say that, but it would have all of your basic regulations and everything put into it, all of everything that they would ever need to know.
Mm-hmm.
All the, because we have so many documents that we have to learn and memorize and everything, that it would just all be there, that they could just click a button and say, hey, I forgot what article so and so was, can you repeat it back? It would keep their biorhythms and everything. And it would also be like police, it would also have police body cam footage, because I know one thing I saw a lot was harassment and things like that. That would go down incredibly if somebody always had, um, you know, body cam on. I know this would be kind of an expensive thing to do too, but at the same point, I know a kid's smartwatch that costs like what, $5, $5 to $10 for a smartwatch. To have a little bit more technology embedded into it shouldn't, like, I would imagine in about another 2 or 3 years, the cost of that kind of technology would be almost nothing. So it should be pretty reasonable to have something like this for all of our soldiers out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd like to see it do, because it would be an extreme force multiplier to help prevent confusion. There's so much that these men and women have to focus on already. Like, it's already high stress situations. They
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have to be worried about what the Geneva Convention specifically says this week, or what their rules of engagement are right now, or what a certain thing is that they have to do, or when they have to be a certain place, and what, like, everything should just be like, hey, I forgot what I'm supposed to do. Can you remind me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, um,
I was thinking about just what you were saying there, and when you're thinking about the defense sector and like police that are out there in the field working, that wearable that you speak of, let's say that they actually get into some type of battle where they're up against a criminal and somebody gets hurt. That system, that watch, typically like records that information and logs it somewhere. But I feel like, let's say that that person happens to, God forbid, lose their life in the process of duty, and that system would log that information, and AI would then alert the proper authorities or whomever was in that area to kind of alert them, hey, somebody's down, go right there and help them. Although they probably reached out before, but I think that that would be a bigger uh, and more valuable force multiplier, like you mentioned before.
Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
100%. And I know there's going to be false positives there, where the thing falls off or something,
Mhm.
but definitely, because at the same time, I think a great code on that would be a, a last ditch effort where the device loses biorhythm, it sends out a 999 alert, and then it wipes out certain information like certain documents and things. It clears its memory, and then it just keeps like the last footage. That way, if enemies and things like that get a hold of it, they can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
But it still sends out that last alert, and it keeps some basic footage and stuff.
This just kind of reminded me of something that
if anybody's out there listening to this, we get some kind of royalties for this idea. I'm just saying.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is already, Raytheon or somebody's already designed this.
So like,
yeah, somebody's already got this.
You're filling out those patent forms. His name is spelled right there on the screen. Yeah. Just copy it on down.
No, I'm pretty sure this is already in the works. I would imagine this has been. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the idea came to me from watching Black Mirror or something. One of those really awesome shows that we have not. But there's bad too on the defense sector with AI. That's one of the benefits. It's one of the treats. But look at all the bad that's going to come. We're at war. We haven't stopped the cyber war, and it's only going to get worse as AI becomes a real live threat all the time. Right now, it's barely getting legs to stand on, but the malicious actor is not just a human anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things I was going to mention to you earlier, because I know that we're talking about like wearables and such, but one of the things that I think could also help with the defense sector is like whenever there are situations and they're not necessarily sure how to respond, and these people have to respond in a specific manner to make sure that they get this information. Probably at the beginning of this year, I had recently purchased like this Even Realities AI glasses, where it kind of gives you information based on the responses that you receive from outside in the public. And if they were a little bit more programmed towards, like, let's say the defense sector, they could have the Miranda rights and things, and the AI could actually be listening to the conversation and be able to render a response that would be best for that specific situation that the police officer could utilize in his line of duty to be able to, let's say, talk somebody down off the ledge or things of that nature. So, I mean, when we're looking at wearables, there's so many different ones, and so many that the AI integrations are so fast that there's so many endless possibilities on how these things could help our sectors individually. We just got to really put forth some effort and really look at how we can utilize and implement AI versus, AI is coming to take out jobs. It's not. I don't think that it's really about that. I think it's more along the lines of how can AI really be used to make us more efficient in what we do on a day-to-day basis.
You're not wrong in what you said, though. AI is going to take our jobs. It's going to take them, reshape them, and give back some jobs. We just have to adapt. But the same thing happened when the Industrial Revolution came out. When like every time we advance, jobs are lost and jobs are changed. It's just what happens. Just instead of having, we've had years to adapt to this. I know a lot of people, and there are. We can deny it all we want. The vast majority of people, this is news. This is new kind of stuff. But anybody in the Cubic Quorum, this is things we've been working with since 2020 as a group, since 2022 specifically, as we've had public projects and things. But in more of the private groups and things, we've been doing this since 2020 and before. It's not news to us. We've been knowing about this. We've been telling, as people have been coming to us to say, how do I break into cyber? How do I break into cyber? We've been saying, it, will help you break in and will help you get into all this stuff, but also start looking at AI governance. You should start trying to pivot, because cybersecurity is great, but you should start learning how to secure AI, even though it's not here yet for everybody. You need to start. So we've been looking at this way ahead, but I know most people haven't, and that's why it feels like it's so fast and so sudden.
Mhm.
And I hope everybody gets on board, because it's not going to slow down until it breaks. And that's the fun part about all this, because it will break. The AMD and all these guys at the top created a financial cyclone
Mhm.
where they're feeding each other the chips, and they're feeding each other the funding and the stocks and everything. But nobody's really paying for anything. And the amount of tech that they need to keep all this stuff advancing is going to hit a wall at one point, and it's going to all come crashing down. And it's going to be a spectacular train wreck. So we have to watch for what's left when the wreckage clears, and that's what we're going to be left with. So it's it's something to look for. It's going to feel like we're going a million miles an hour until we stop. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
I hope I said it good enough.
Miss Les, do you have any thoughts about that?
No, I think Joseph wrapped it up pretty well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it goes
when
a
you
lot.
went to,
I think it goes along with one of the analogies that I recently heard over a couple of days ago, which was like, yeah, the reality of it is that AI possibly could take your job. But you got to think of AI more along the lines of like a conveyor belt. It's going to be going like the ones in the airport. You can get on there and you can stand and ride the wave all the way to the other end. But if you happen to walk while this conveyor belt is moving quicker, it helps you get from point A to point B a lot quicker. So again, it's just more along the lines of changing our mindsets away from thinking how AI might be detrimental to our our financial status, more along the lines of how can we utilize AI to get better. And once we start learning not to look at AI as a money driven factor, because the money's going to come no matter what, it's just how can we improvise, and how can we improvise and make the best use of AI to get from point A to point B. And that's where we're going to really start to see the real growth.
Mm-hmm.
so on to Aardvark, because that's where we care as a group, as a quorum, as cybersecurity professionals. Um, we've said it for a long time. Artificial intelligence, synthetic intelligence, all the whatever you want to call it, as it continues to evolve, is always going to need management.
Mm-hmm.
As we continue with vibe coding into larger and larger projects, you're going to have holes. You're going to have crap coding. No, I don't like to cuss too much, but you're going to have bad coding, generic coding, coding that gets pulled back from, the Stone Ages and things. And a human would have identified it right away. They would have been like, no, we would have, we stopped doing those kind of things in the early, 2010s because of X, Y, and Z vulnerability. Aardvark, OpenAI came out with Aardvark this week. And that's what we started the show off talking about, and that's what we're going to end the show off talking about. Aardvark is one solution, and it lets me know that the powers that be understand their big weakness, and they understand that programmers and non-programmers are using their tools to write software, which is scary for some people like me. But Aardvark is an AI tool that checks and balances other AI tools. But is it going to be enough? So that's my question.
Mhm.
I have an answer, but I want to hear y'all's answer too.
I haven't seen it in action, but I mean, just reading about it, looking at what it's supposed to do, it looks like it would be a really helpful tool, especially for large programs, things that are really long that would take a human a long time to check and verify. So if it goes through and does the threat modeling, it validates a finding, patches it with what it already has programmed to patch with, and then sends it for human review, that sounds like it would save a lot of time. If it's programmed properly and works well, that sounds like a good time saver. It keeps that human review at the end in place so that you still have a person verifying. Because to me, putting out any kind of anything, whether it's a book, a drawing, a program, an app, anything that's AI, and then just send it without a human review is foolishness at the best and terrifying at the worst.
Mhm.
You know, being able to say a person is still going to be held accountable. Nobody's gonna take an AI chatbot to court and say it wrote this program and it erased all my things and I can't find my medication. It's the programmer, it's the company owner, it's a human that's going to be held to accountable.
Mhm.
So if we're just sort of taking stuff and throwing it out there and saying I'm now accountable because I'm the one who hit the button that said put it in production, or send the book to the publisher or whatever, the people have to understand they're still going to be responsible. So putting an AI in charge of checking your code, great, but make sure that human review person understands what they're looking for and knows, that it would be helpful as long as that person is still aware of what's
Yeah.
going on.
I honestly think that that might just be the problem, though. It's like it relies on like the human element, and uh, the AI is actually going behind them to do the checks and balances to ensure, like, malicious scripting isn't been implemented within the system by an insider threat or just strictly by accident. This AI would then be able to go in and circumvent that, and I'm sure that would have an element where it would integrate into security, where a notification would get sent out to have proper investigation. So then again, that human element that you speak about, I see that as something as a real beneficial tool.
Yeah.
These types of situations, I always think of Jurassic Park, the very first Jurassic Park, with the guy who just set up the program to blow everything up so that he can steal the embryos and make it out. Um, we're gonna trust, and this is a big issue, is AI trust. For some reason, we've understood that we can't trust humans to a certain, like, we know humans have the capability of theft. We know they have the capability of lying. We understand this, but for some reason we as a people don't understand what AI is capable of doing maliciously.
Mm-hmm.
And that scares me because it's capable of doing some pretty messed up stuff, even
Because it's
when it doesn't.
programmed by messed up humans.
Exactly. So there's always going to be deviation. You can't have a program like that and say go and it run a straight line forever. It's always going to deviate.
Right.
And with Aardvark, it sounds great. It's going to be great in the beginning, and then you're going to get rid of that human because everything worked out good. What the heck do you need the human to review for? All he's doing is sitting there. All he's doing is saying Aardvark's doing a great job over and over. Stamp of approval.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you
We
get rid
don't
of
need a rubber stamper, I promise. Please don't make it that.
then Aardvark starts to become the de facto. Okay, we did it, and it starts deviating because it's starting to ingest bad code or um, good code that looks bad or false positives and things. and no humans there anymore. We took that human out of the loop and either fired them or promoted them and never filled their spot back or whatever the case is. And it's that long thought. All these issues that we keep putting in place and keep getting the products that we keep getting first to market. Let's get this going. Is going to come back in 2026. Hopefully not quarter one, but I keep assuming first quarter 2026 is when all these systems are going to start deviating, and they fired all the people that would have said, "Hey, this is going off course. This is starting to produce some bad results." I think that's going to be the issue with Aardvark. Is Aardvark going to be the only product like it? I think we're going to see 20 or 30 of them before the end of the year. I think Aardvark's just the first.
Yeah.
So who knows? We might see an aardvark and a giraffe and a lion and of each other just to watch each other and make sure any deviation's caught. But at the same time, I had a conversation a couple of days ago about complete companies that are ran by AI agents, and you just have humans sitting on a board that are doing their once a month board reviews, and the whole company daily operations are done by AI agents.
Wow.
Is a human even needed for a lot of these companies for?
What do those companies do?
They produce things. They food chain supply, logistics. There's a lot of companies out there where all a human does is make mistakes, and cost money. I know we see the companies that we work in and stuff, and we can be like, oh, there's no way you can take humans out of this stuff. But there's companies that bring in over $1 million a year where even from the CEO on down, you can honestly replace them. You can replace every last one of them. But you still need a human to say, okay, I have to file the tax paperwork. I have to make, you at least need one human to sue. You got to have somebody to blame, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to get weird. It's going to get weird super fast. And we're in that window now. So I've written articles and stuff going back to 2017 about this, the autonomous age from 2025 to 2030, and about how it's just going to be like, if you're not prepared, then you need to start preparing, because it's going to get unpredictable. And we're in that unpredictable zone that for the next 5 years, it's going to be the Wild West of technology.
So have they actually started classifying it as an era now, like the autonomous era? I think that's pretty neat.
That's what I was calling it back in 2017. I don't think anybody has officially. I've heard a couple different names for it, the AI age and stuff like that, but I was calling it the autonomous age back in 2017. But that's when we were, I was working heavily in the maritime industry, and we were already working on autonomous vessels and things. And I was like, well, if we're having cargo vessels and things like that can self-pilot with no humans, this is 2017. We're doing that in the A, B, and C, and D. XYZ looks pretty damn scary.
I agree.
The Aardvark is thanks OpenAI, and I appreciate that vote of confidence that y'all came out with that. So if anybody from OpenAI actually listens, thanks. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we keep humans in the loop. We aren't going to be doing the final segments of the show. We're not going to call out any cherries or anything like that. We're just going to wrap it up and say, if y'all want to keep any of these conversations going, jump on the Qubit Quorum website. QubitQuorum.com is a link to our Discord server. From there, we have bots on there, so there's always somebody to talk to. Even if it's not a human, the bots in there are programmed after humans. So they actually do feel like you're talking to humans. And then we go and review them after, so we'll pick up the conversation. You want to wrap it up, Ash? Cool. Thank you guys for joining me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite.
I guess I don't know if we lost Wes. I didn't hear much from him. I know.
Yeah, I think we lost him. He was having some technical difficulties with the
Okay.
application
And that's
recently.
unfortunate because I know he would have had awesome stuff to say.
Yeah.
He would have had some really interesting conversations. But this won't be the last topic on this. I just really wanted this one to kind of focus on the tricks and the treats of AI because it's easy to focus on the downsides coming up because we're in the security aspect of it all, and we see the terrible stuff that's coming. But I also wanted to kind of highlight the benefits that AI does bring into our lives. Um, all right, guys, I'll see y'all online. Yeah, we'll talk on the server.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great one.